I want to talk about something today, and that is when you're seeking God, when you're trying to have a closer relationship with Him, and it's beginning to heal you in ways that maybe you didn't even fully expect, but you find that the closer you get to God, the less interest you have in things that in the past were stumbling blocks for you, things that separated you from God, the types of temptation and sin that maybe you participated in, or maybe didn't even do yourself, but you just allowed yourself to be around. It's like you begin to really change. You begin to really heal. The closer you get to God, the clearer you get this perspective on like what is really important. And you may feel that the more you do that, the more you seem to lose people, or even people who are still a part of your life. Something is just different. You can feel this shift in that relationship with that person. Something just feels off. There's just this separation or this distance between you. Maybe it's spoken about, maybe it's not. And for some of you, it could look like people in your life that maybe make these subtle remarks like, well, you've gotten really religious all of a sudden, or this isn't how I remember you, or I miss the old you, okay? And they'll say, well, what happened to you? You're changing. Well, yeah, I'm changing. I'm getting closer to God. I'm trying to live a way that honors Him. Like my perspective has changed. What you tolerate begins to change. And so you feel like you're healing, you're growing closer to God, and it's costing you people in your life. Your inner circle is beginning to shrink down. And you're trying to come to terms with that or really understand it. Okay, so I want to read you a couple of verses. We're in John chapter 15. I'm going to read verse 2. This is KJV. Read whatever you like. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, He taketh away. And every branch that beareth fruit, He purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit. So maybe you prayed a prayer, right? You asked God to protect you, to help you to grow closer to Him, to help you remove temptation out of your life, to help you overcome it. And maybe He answered that prayer in ways that you did not expect. That doesn't mean that these people were bad people, or that, you can't still be a part of their life, but maybe you're being asked to be a part of their life in a different way, maybe more distantly. Because God ultimately always knows best. And if you asked Him to protect you, you might have thought, well, from harm, from, poverty, it could be a lot of things, but that prayer of protection may have also extended to removing people or distancing people from your life. And that's something that I've really been realizing is all those times I said, God, please protect me, shield me. He did, in more ways than one, in ways that I didn't even think to ask for. When you heal, when you get closer to God, it changes you for the better. And it changes what you'll then tolerate, what you find interest in. And there are people that don't like that because they're not on the same path as you, or they're at different places in that path. Maybe you find yourself wondering, why people seem to push you away now, or people just don't stay, or just things feel different. You feel something shifting or changing in this dynamic. Even if that person still communicates with you, you still hang around them, it's not quite the same as it was. Let us go to Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. So it could be that the people that are distant or removed from your life, there was temporary. It wasn't meant to be permanent. Maybe you'll reconnect with that person when they're at a different place in their walk, right? Maybe you won't. Maybe you were just meant to plant some type of seed in that person's life that others will then go to water. And I've asked this question a few times, but I want to ask it here again in case you're new here or you didn't maybe hear me say this before, because this is a question I've been asking myself a lot. as much as there were people that I really wanted to hold on to in the past, this is the question. When that person was removed from your life, friend, family, maybe a love interest, a partner, when that person was removed from your life, is that what inspired you to get closer to God? Maybe no, but maybe for some of you, that is something to think about and try to evaluate, because that's something that I recognized about myself. And I didn't want to admit it to myself at first. But through that heartbreak, I sought out comfort. I sought out the Lord. I sought out answers. And all of that brought me here, to God's Word, to God, seeking to be comforted because I was confused and I felt lost and I felt abandoned and I felt alone. When that person was removed from my life, that's when I came to God. And for some of the people in my life that I lost or distanced themselves from me, that's when I finally felt free to be myself and be more open about my faith. Because even though I never hid or concealed from people that I was a believer, there definitely were people in my life that I can recognize looking back now that I didn't talk to them about God. And I didn't talk to them about God because I knew they just didn't care to hear about it. They just kind of even the ones that weren't angry about it, they just really weren't interested. They didn't want to hear about it all the time. But this is the most important thing in my life, my relationship with God. And so what I ended up doing, and I'm not going to blame them because it's on me, but because I knew they had no interest in hearing about it, I shrunk God down in my life. And then I ended up shrinking him down with other people in my life. And before long, I had shrunken him down so much in my life that I had all this room for other things, other interests, things to take priority. And that's on me, because I should have never shrunk God down for anybody in my life, not for anybody else's comfort. Let us go back over to John. Okay, and I want to read John 15, 18, 19. If the world hate you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you. If ye were of the world would love his own. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you. We're not of the world. God is not of the world. These worldly things, these things that people find so much comfort in, these things that people idolize and prioritize above God, they're only temporary. There's a lot of people that even if they're religious, or maybe they're lukewarm, maybe they believe but they just don't practice, they just don't care to know, and I've been there. So, it's not me trying to point fingers at specific people, but what I'm saying is that there's a lot of people that either don't believe but just don't practice, that just are not ready to feel the conviction of their lifestyles. And I'm not saying that there are people in your life that are just horrible people because they do all these constant sin, because we are all sinners. We all fall short. But the difference is that I want to feel that conviction for my sins, because I want to know what I'm doing that hurts God, because he loved me so much. He gave his only son for me. And I owe him everything. And you don't want to hurt the people that you love. I don't want to hurt God. And my sin hurts God. Our sin hurts him. Some people see you drawing closer to God, changing your life. And even if you're not pointing fingers saying, you need to stop drinking, I stopped it, and so now you need to stop it, or I stopped doing this, or I stopped watching these things, and I stopped, so you need to do, even if you're not doing that, you're just living and setting an example. They see you, they witness that, and they feel uncomfortable by that conviction stirring in their spirit, in their hearts. They don't want to face that. They're uncomfortable with that change. They're not ready to give things up. they still have work to do, and they say things to you, even subtly, like, I miss the old you. You used to be so much fun. You've gotten really religious all of a sudden. I see you're changing. What happened to you? What happened to me is God saved me. He never stopped pursuing me. He never stopped trying to get my attention. Even when I didn't deserve it, He never stopped pursuing me. He went to find me. And one day I was ready to just listen. And when that happened, He was always there. But when I stopped running and I let Him wrap His arms around me and save me, I owe Him everything, because I have so much love and gratitude, because His mercy I didn't deserve. And this is not to say that these people are bad people, but they're not where you are. And they can't continue this walk with you. You're at different places. And maybe they'll eventually get where you are, but right now, God is setting you apart. He is separating you, distancing you. You feel it. Even if whether they've walked away on you on their own, you just feel something's off even though they're still around, or you yourself just feel in your spirit that things aren't like they used to be. This is God trying to protect you. God will remove people even when you didn't ask Him to. Sometimes God's rejection, it's His protection. God's protecting you. You prayed that prayer for protection, but you didn't expect God to answer it in this way. So you feel like your circle is changing. The more you heal, the more you seek God, the more you try to live for Him, you're losing people left and right. So this is just something that I've been reflecting on, and I thought, there probably are other people out there who are dealing with this, and they feel this separation. They feel like people are talking behind their back, or they're judging them, or they're rolling their eyes, or they just don't want to hear about it anymore. But God is changing you. He's changing what you tolerate. You don't feel this constant need to constantly over-explain yourself or chase after people or chase after closure. You won't tolerate the disrespect. You feel uncomfortable. You feel some kind of conviction starting in you, like, maybe I shouldn't be here. I'm not partaking in what they're doing, but I don't really want to be part of this gossip anymore. I don't really want to be around these people who are doing X, Y, and Z. You just want to focus on your relationship with God and trying to strive to honor Him because you have this new perspective about what's really important. So I hope that this message helps somebody out there. Leave me comments. I've loved reading you guys' comments. Please consider liking, subscribing, following along. Bye, y'all.